What other strategies have you been able to leverage to minimize your tax burden? Because that's usually one of the most expensive lines on my QuickBooks that I've noticed in the past. I mean, what else have you seen that's a little tip or a trick that, if you got anything for us, Tom or Robert or Ken?
Well, the first thing to understand is really what the tax law is all about. That, most of the tax law is really a bunch of incentives, and the government wants you to put your money certain places. And the key is to find those incentives. So real estate is one of those incentives. Need to build housing, need to build commercial properties. So we have real estate tax incentives. There are others. Energy, clean energy, especially, is a big one. Renewable energy. There are tax credits. There's tax deductions for clean energy. There's other energy, oil and gas. In the U.S., there's big deductions for oil and gas. Technology, business, agriculture. I mean, there are really a lot of incentives. 99% of the tax law in all of our countries is just a series of incentives. It's just instruction guide, basically, to reducing your taxes. So all the government's saying is, look, we need certain things done. And if you do those things, then we're going to encourage that by giving you a tax break. And because we want you to do it rather than have us do it. And then we'll share the profits when the profits come.
Are there states that are more business friendly than other states?
Oh yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Well, we're starting to see rent control pop up. We're starting to see rent caps pop up. There are some that actually have passed. So, capital markets, you were talking about, the big money institutional, it's going to go, it's going to go to where it's a little more friendly. And I think that's what's happening now, right? People are voting with their feet and their checkbooks based on those things happening right now. We're seeing it real time.
That's wonderful. Robert, I want to ask you this question. How do you select your tax guy? Because I always struggle to find great tax planners. Most of them will prefer to color within the lines. Every dot must be, perfect. Every T must be crossed. There is no, room for gray area. I like a guy that's, more willing to lean into asking for forgiveness than asking for permission. So I'm curious about how you chose a guy like Tom, for example.
Well, as that old saying goes, you kiss a lot of frogs to find the fairy princess. I had a lot of bad ones, and through a bad one, I met Tom. But Tom wrote this book called Tax Free Wealth. It's a book for entrepreneurs because we're not the brightest guys on earth. And you can read the book, and the most important thing after reading Tax Free Wealth, you'll know what questions to ask, and it'll save you a lot of time. And Tom is definitely within the lines because we wouldn't cross him. It's not worth it. Would you say that's true, Tom?
Yeah. And let me add to that, Rich. So really the question is how much does your tax advisor know about the tax law? You really don't want them to go outside their knowledge. So if you've got somebody who's, pushing the envelope, it's probably because they don't know the entire tax law. And so the more you understand about the tax law, the more you really understand that, wow, you know what, this tax law is actually built to reduce your taxes if you do what the government wants done. So it's really a matter of understanding the tax law as opposed to having to push the limits of the tax law.
Right.
Got it.
And again, the thing for every entrepreneur is what questions to ask. Those are very important questions.
Well, how do you decide that?
Buy Tom's book. It's called Tax Free Wealth. Read the book.
There you go. Tax Free Wealth. Where's it on Amazon?
It's everywhere. So it's on Amazon. It's in the bookstore.
And is it specific to the United States or a certain region or a certain state, or?
It's not. It's very much about the concepts of tax law. So I've had people talk to me in Romania and Great Britain and Canada and Mexico. It doesn't matter because the concepts, right? We're not looking, the specifics is what you have a tax advisor for, but you need to understand what you can do to reduce your taxes. One of the things that we look at is, you think about a conservative versus an aggressive tax advisor, and really a conservative tax advisor is just somebody that does things within what they know. So anytime you have somebody who doesn't know very much, then they're going to be very aggressive. What I always tell people, though, to Robert's point about asking questions, is the advisor's primary job is not to give answers. The advisor's primary job is to ask the right questions. So the best way to know if your tax advisor is a good tax advisor is, are they asking you good questions? And that's pretty easy. You can tell that. You've got a pretty good idea. Oh, yeah, they're thinking about this. They're asking me this. They're looking at kind of a holistic approach to taxes. And they're not just saying, no, you can do this and you can't do that.
How do you spot a bad tax advisor?
Oh, my heavens. Well, that's about 90+% of them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There are people, so, you know, we're all entrepreneurs, right? So I always say no entrepreneur wants to be told what they can't do. They only want to be told how to do what they want to do. So to me, a good tax advisor, attorney, financial planner, whoever it is somebody that's going to help you get where you want to go. And it's really that thought process. It's how you think about it that makes the big difference in what questions that then the tax advisor asks you to get where you want to go.
Got it.
So Rich, if I may add one more thing, the reason it's always Ken and Tom, because in the world of money, it's always debt and taxes. So Kenny provides the debt. He has 3 books. First book is the ABCs, is the basic of real estate investing. Then he has one for property management, which is key. You've got to have a good property manager. That's the hardest thing about real estate. Mm-hmm. And the third is the advanced guide. So if you go through Ken's book and books, 3 books, and Tom's books, then you'll be better able to find a better tax advisor. Because I think Kenny's book, the piece de resistance, at last book, is the advanced guide. Is how we make millions of dollars and pay no taxes legally. When you read that, then you start hunting down a guy like Tom Wheelwright as fast as you can. Mm-hmm. And the last thing I want to say, because with this question, the 3 of us have traveled the world together. We've had a great time. Kenny was locked up in Moscow as usual, but anyway. Rich, the tax laws are fundamentally the same all over the world. Because Tom let's say we fly into Romania. Tom will check it out. He says, it's exactly the same. And everybody says, well, our tax laws are different here. But no matter which country we've been to, and Kenny and Tom have done a lot of work in Canada, the laws are the same.
When you say the laws are the same, like just to sort of expand on that, like we're dealing with like cuisine in countries varies, but you still have, pretty much the same ingredients, right? Is what we're dealing with?
Yeah. So here's what I would say, Rich. The financial system in the U.S., the financial system in Canada are very different. But one thing that's the same is the banks are trying to get everybody's money in savings, and the wealth managers are trying to get everybody's money to manage it. Mm-hmm. So if you understand that, then you understand how to get that money, because all that money funnels into all those things. So when I go out to get money in the form of debt, I actually get it, through banks, through pension funds, through insurance. No different in Canada. I mean, all that money's managed, and then those money managers look for guys like me to place it. That is absolutely the same. So it really all is OPM or other people's money. And that's one thing that's for sure. And what the banks are trying to do, of course, if I let's say I get $1 million from you and it's in savings, and I'm paying you 1%, I'm trying to lend it back to me at say 5%. And so that's how it works. Is they're taking your money and basically lending it to me, but the collateral is a project that I find. That's the system that we're in. It's the same across the entire world.
Yeah, and Rich, even from a tax standpoint, I mean, the incentives are the same. Your government wants the same things our government wants. They want housing, they want energy, they want food, they want business, they want technology. The incentives don't change. Yeah, how they apply those incentives are going to change, from time to time. The very specific details of that. So you do have to have a local tax advisor, but the overall view of the government, what the government wants to do, and the government incentives are absolutely remarkably the same. We have here what's called a 401k, which is a retirement plan like your RRSP. Mm-hmm. in Japan, they actually have something they call a 401k. So they've actually copied us exactly. And so you take those retirement plans. Yeah, there's a little difference. For example, RSP, you have a lot more flexibility in taking that out than we do. Superannuation in Australia, they have even more flexibility than you do, but they're still the same idea. There's still the idea of putting money into a retirement plan, getting a tax break, and then taking it out when you retire. So it's still the same incentive. It's still the same idea.
Gotcha.